I am grateful for my dog. Come on, get this. Come on. Come here, right here. Get it. Come on. Come here. There you go. There you go. Come on. There you go. Come on. Here you go. Come on. Get it. Get it. Come on, it's for bad breath, bad doggy breath. Come on. There we go. I am grateful for my dog. Number 1. Since I did an ungrateful list a few days ago, I'm going to do a gratitude list. I'm grateful for my dog. I'm grateful for my daughter. I am so grateful that Christmas is over. It's the happiest day of the year, the day after Christmas. The next worst day of the year is tax day. So I'm grateful for my relationship with a satanic narcissist because I realize that human beings can be demon possessed even though they don't look like Linda Blair from The Exorcist. Or their heads are not spinning, they're not vomiting up pea soup and levitating from the bed. But Satan has ability to assimilate an army of human beings, and he assimilates them very sophisticatedly and very easily. And it seems like that's human, but really you're dealing with a beyond human intelligence. Satan cannot reproduce. Satan cannot reproduce. Satan can only assimilate people to do work for the kingdom of darkness. So he is assimilating an army of people. So I realized the only way to be victorious over a spiritual demonic entity is to have a direct relationship with Jesus through the Father and the Holy Spirit. The only way I was going to battle this is through the knowledge of God, to battle the spiritual realm of the demonic fallen angels and their children. So if demons exist, that means that God exists. And for those of you that are atheists out there, when the restrainer removes the spiritual dimensions, these spiritual entities will start to manifest into our reality. So although we can't see them with the human eye, a dog can hear pictures we can't hear. Dogs can see things that we can't see. We will someday. So there will come a time when these spiritual beings will manifest into our reality. In Hosea, it says men's hearts will fail them with fear because of what is coming up upon the earth. So whatever we're going to see in the physical is going to be so terrifying that people will have heart attacks out of fear for what they see. So being an atheist is not going to help you when this happens. Trust me, only God can protect you from the spirit of pestilence that is upon the earth at this time in 2020. And so I am grateful that being isolated by my satanic narcissist from everyone and everything, I learned to trust God, and I learned not to trust people, religions, organizations, churches, family, or friends for help. By trusting God, I know the knowledge He has given me is the truth, and it will surely have success for what is intended to do. I was isolated from AA, Al-Anon, my therapy, organized church, my family, my friends, my network, my community, everybody. All of these organizations were not even aware of the spiritual pestilence of the plagues that are plaguing our community. And most of these organizations don't really understand what spiritual warfare really is. Unless you're in the battle of this, you can never really understand what it's like unless you are really there. All the religious people I can think of, they think they're too good to be demonized. That as long as they're a Christian, the demons can't touch them. No human being can really understand what being in a relationship with a demonic principality is. Most people have no idea what being in a relationship with a demonic principality is about. They don't have the experience because most people are not in a relationship with this type of a general demon. It is very similar to being in a home with an active alcoholic or even a recovering alcoholic. That is what we call a dry drunk. They're not drinking, but they're acting like a lunatic or the majesty of the baby. So for those of you that grew up in an alcoholic home, you were being raised by a satanic narcissist. So I grew up in an alcoholic home, so I'm very aware of what Satan world is all about. There's no peace, there's no security, there's no love, there's no faithfulness, there's no mildness or kindness. There is no self-control, and there is no patience. There was a lot of outbursts of wrath. All the works of the flesh were completely and totally demonstrated in a home of alcoholic, for sure. So I trust God to protect me from the spirit of pestilence that has invaded our 2020, and I have gratitude for this. I have dealt with 13,000 transactions as a cashier, dealing with people since this started, and I have been protected by God from getting assimilated by the spirits of pestilence that have invaded our reality. And I am grateful that I know that God has my back. So I lost all my material possessions in 2017, everything I worked for. I was forced to trust God. None of it really made any sense. It's like whatever blessings that I did have completely were removed from me. And when you lose all your material possessions, really the only thing you can do is trust God. And I'm grateful for what happened to me because I lost everything and I did really learn to trust God. Now in 2020, that this is happening to a lot of people, I know that if it happens again, that I can trust God and that He'll take care of me. And it was a fabulous lesson on trust. If I was still making a lot of money and I had a lot of blessings and things were going really well for me, and I was taking care of the narcissist like he was a king, I never would have learned to trust God. And God knew that 2020 was coming and that I would have to learn to trust Him, because everything in this world that we have gotten to learn to trust that works for us is going to pass away. So as the world spirals into financial scarcity, I know that I can trust God with not only protecting me from dying from a biological, spiritual pestilence, but I can also trust God to take care of me financially. God taught me that I can trust Him for provisions. God taught me that I can trust Him against the hordes of hell that have been released from the pits called the spirit of pestilence that's plaguing our 2020. And so at the time when I was going through all of this, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But God taught me how to trust Him because He knew that a day would come like this, that everything that we've grown accustomed to, that we've taken for granted, would be taken away from us. And that the only one we can trust is Him. And He hasn't failed. I mean, I'm still around. I'm grateful that God has taught me wisdom. When I ask God a question, I really feel like I'm a friend of God. So when I ask Him a question, He answers not in 2 weeks' time, but He answers now in real time. I ask the question and I get an answer within almost instantly or within 2 hours. So I don't have to go to a pastor. I don't have to go to a book. I don't have to go to a therapist. I don't have to go to somebody smarter than me. I don't have to go to the internet. If I want to know something about what's happening in our world, all I have to do is ask God. And He provides the answer. I mean, it says it in the Bible that everything you want to know, He will give you those answers. But to have a relationship like that, I am so grateful that I have a relationship with the Most High, that if I ask Him a question, He gives me the answer quickly. I am grateful that I haven't made a whole lot of money in the last 3 years, because I was able to identify with how hard it is to make ends meet and have respect for all people. And He taught me how to just, live in scarcity and to really struggle and know that as long as I keep trusting Him, it didn't happen as fast as I would like because I'm not a really patient person. But slowly, one blessing after another is befalling me. Now, there's still many things that I'm hoping that will come into my reality that are not here yet. But I trust that God is teaching me the way that God teaches. And the best way to teach someone is not only to be in a spiritual war with a battle of a demonic general, which I'm in, and learn while I'm in the battle. I'm grateful that I've learned to trust God, because most importantly, there will be things that I'll be able to do because God is working through me that I won't even be able to believe myself. All the good things that you think to yourself, well, if there was a God, why doesn't he do this or this or this or this? Well, there is a God, and he is going to do that. But as I have learned through my steps, in order to trust him every step of the way, and it's, I started in kindergarten, I'm maybe in third grade right now. But as I keep going and I start to graduate, all of a sudden, being able to heal the sick and raise the dead and to fix all the social injustices of the world is going to be a possibility for me. Because so far on my journey, all these little things, first of all, God can't lie, and I know that his promises are true. And I'm also grateful that I've gotten to know who God is. That way, when I hear people talk, or I listen to religious people that talk, when I don't hear the voice and the mind of God and the words that they say, I know that isn't God. Now, I wouldn't know that unless I got to know God personally. So I'm so grateful that I got isolated from everything so that I could get to know who God is, and I would know the voice of God versus not the voice of God. I would know what the kingdom of heaven is versus what the kingdom of darkness is. I would know what a Satanist is, and I would know what a child of God is. These are all things that I couldn't learn except directly from God. I am so grateful that he's in a relationship with me, and I feel comfortable in that relationship. I am grateful that there's no limitations to God, and that anything you can imagine of goodness that can come into manifest into our reality is going to happen. God is literally in the building. I know this because I know that God is in the building because God is in working through me. And I know that people look at me weird, and little children stare me down. And I don't know what it is they see, but they see something there that they don't see other places. Well, I know what it is. I have hope. I'm hopeful. I see people at work and they're depressed and they have no hope because that's all they have is this mindless job of 9 to 5, and they have no hope for anything better than what they're experiencing. I am just so grateful that I have a hope of a better future because it's coming. I am grateful that God has promised me that I will someday experience true love with a man that will come into my life. And I trust that, again, I'm not really patient, but that I am grateful that I will experience what true love is, not based on the world standards of what love is, but based on perfect love as defined by God. Perfect peace, perfect patience, kindness, mildness, self-control, and goodness. All the fruits of the Spirit will be active on this earth that we live on. And someday, Satan will be binded and put in the pit, and all the bad things of this world will be removed. And it will return to a Garden of Eden. And the Spirit of God, which are all the spirits of the flesh, love, joy, peace, patience, self-control, kindness, mildness, goodness. The Garden of Eden is coming, and the fruits of the spirits will manifest into our reality, and there will be nothing bad. There will be no death, no murder, no rape, no incest, no betrayal, no backstabbing, nothing negative, no death, no sickness, no cancer, no suicide, no drug overdoses, no being lied to by the media, no being forced into a mortgage and to pay back the bank 77% of what they owe. no more being captive to a financial system of the Rothschild banking system. That will all stop. We will be children of freedom. For me, freedom is happiness. Being free to love, free to choose, free to have peace, and free to be kind. There will be no adultery, no outbursts of wrath, no hatred, no contentions, no dissensions, no heresies, no deceptions, no drunkenness, no rivalries, no murders, no more abortion, no more witchcraft murders, no more satanic ritual abuse, no more fallen angels and the works of the flesh against us, no more curses. I mean, this is huge. A curse is all the works of the flesh, and a curse is all the 7 deadly sins. So when you're under the curse, that means that you live in a world where literally hell is on earth, which is what's happening to this world right now. Literally, hell is on earth. We are under the curse. When the curse is removed and we have freedom as children of God, we have absolute freedom to do anything our imagination can give to us. And I mean freedom in every way possible. But it's a good quality freedom where you have love and kindness. And your freedom that you have, you're actually really happy because sadness doesn't introduce into the human variable. Hopelessness, not part of the human variable. Despair, depression, doesn't exist anymore. Just have pure joy. It's, the pure love of God and the freedom that surpasses all understanding. Happy, joyous, and free will be the children of God once the children of Satan are removed from this reality. So I am so grateful that God taught me himself